and I'm glad you're here on this special evening. I am Father Nathan, the area dean for Torbay, and covering the part of the Church of England, but also engaging with leaders across other communities in this area. I'm also a parent in this place and a resident who passionately loves what is going on in this place as we work together in preparing, in bouncing back really from the pandemic from a place that is just good to one that is outstanding, or one that realizes the outstanding natural beauty that it already has. So this evening, I hope you will be inspired. I hope you will be nudged to tell somebody about our story. I hope you will live enthused to go and be a champion, and at most as well join as one of the champions if you haven't already. Tonight we have some speakers who are outstanding, but before we go into that part, I'd love to bring you back to the story that has gathered us together, the fascinating story of this place, which is naturally inspiring with a compelling story. We have this opportunity to showcase this amazing place of investment, and also a place to live and work, to visit and have fun. And I would add, to also thrive. Whether you are working or choosing to retire with a Y, whatever you come to do in this place, I hope it is a place for you to thrive. It's a focal point to unleash the passion, the potential, the insight and drive that is within. And also that is part of the collective that we are as a community. And of course, on the screen, as you may see, our story is one that demonstrates our values to each other, that we matter as a people, but also our place matters, and the way we treat it is a gift to us, to showcase Torbay as a place of opportunity, as I mentioned earlier, to look at this place as one which is a premium arena and one of natural experience, and also take by the bay. We have the technology stemming from here into the world and making a difference. And I wonder, as you've been watching the World Cup, how much you've kind of thought about technology from the bay involved in making such an event happen, or if you've done some audit around that. I find those things really fascinating, but I guarantee you something from the bay may be involved somewhere on the way there, which is really good, and later you get to hear about that. So not only is it coming home, actually we've already sent it to Cllr, which is good news. This place is a hub of active adventures, and by that I mean you could be at one point on the coastal path walking, reflecting with your own thoughts, and meditating for a bit at Torbay, or you could be just in the sea on the paddleboard, or swimming or diving, whichever you like. It's a place of adventure. Oh, just come into this theatre for a good pantomime in a few weeks' time. A place of adventure and joy, as we will hear later. And of course, we have those three towns that make us distinctive and yet very united. You know, we are different, but also bound together by common things that unite us. In our distinctiveness, we know that Brixham is a place where we look at food and fishing fusion. And if you're somebody who enjoys seafood, Brixham is the place to start and to enjoy the delicacies that move from this place to the rest of the country and beyond. It is a place where your taste buds will be infused with the great catch that is there. Paint on a family fun place, and if you like to go out on the rides or anything in Painton, be it a swim, be it the adventures by the seafront, that is the place to be. Families can thrive. It has got so much to offer, which is really good, that an elephant could swim and a child could paddle, especially if you are in a UNESCO and Geopark. There is so much for you to enjoy there, both foreshore and a center enterprise. In Painton, there is the enterprise and electronics and entrepreneurship. Not forgetting our college that is in that place, because we believe in education, and the world is made up of people who can read, write, and think for themselves. So we believe in education in this place, and we educate everyone for the best that we can give as a community. Torquay, where you are, it is a leading leisure space. You only just have to look through the window and you see how many people have actually chosen to put their yachts there just to relax and rest for a while. Oh, the flats that are on this side with a view. Oh, the beach there that always has a different canvas when the Sandyman starts to paint. He has this divine play with God where whatever he paints, the next day it's gone and God gives him a different canvas every day. It is a place of leisure, lifestyle by the sea, where you can have both an intimate conversation with somebody vulnerable to the core, and yet you can be with a group running and exercising on the same coastline. It has everything in it, captured by our trail for the lights, as you may have perhaps indulged in your time walking around. So these places, yet distinctive, have got so much to offer to everyone, young and old, retired or still active, at whatever stage in life. This is the story that gathered us in this place, to go deeper in appreciating what we already have and to raise our voices to the world that this naturally inspiring place invites you to come and call it your home for a while and be transformed and renewed among us. So of course, to make this happen, we need the champions, and the role of the champions is very important to this story. Our champions are there to promote, to learn, to advocate, to connect, and to engage as members of this place. It is a flexible role. You can do as much as you'd like to, but also as little as you're able to. Essentially, it is a place where we know we will grow and be the change that we want to see, speaking out and advocating for that which is good, connecting with one another and with the nature that we have for us, engaging deeply with what is on offer, and indeed promoting this space to the end of the world, directly engaging in work to get involved on this place as ambassadors. We welcome you. One thing we'd like you to do specifically, if you're on any of those social media platforms, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and all the other platforms, hashtag Torbay Story. Share the news widely. And of course, if you're a writer, we love writers in this place. Write an article about a place and Jim Parker will ensure that he publishes that story of this place. So if you want to go more than the characters on Twitter, Jim will allow you a few more characters in the paper for this story. To add to that, we have amazing speakers tonight and who are going to tell you more about this story. And of course, I'll start with Annie, who has made a big effort to host us today in this place. And Annie is the director of Princess Theatre, and Annie is going to give us an overview of what the Ambassadors Group actually contribute to the story, how they try to translate the story into their own, so that those who come here for the shows for the holidays can capture the beauty, can capture what is here. Annie, welcome.
Thank you. Just going to collect Pirate Steve. Who is this little fella here? I come with props. Good to see it. Hello everyone, welcome. Firstly, thank you for putting me directly after Father Nathan. To be such an inspiring and passionate speaker. My natural place is not on the stage, it is behind the scenes, so bear with me, I'm going to hold my notes just in case I need them. So my name is Annie Masson, I am the theatre director here at the Princess Theatre. We are part of Ambassador Theatre Group, as Father Nathan has alluded to. I wanted to start by welcoming you all here. Thank you for coming. We have covered up some of the amazing landscape, but I do think you've got a chance to see the sunset in the bar there as well. But very much welcome. I'm really excited by the idea of the Torbay story and being the Torbay Torbay Champion. Anyone who works in theatre would appreciate we're in the business of telling stories, and they play such a huge important role in our culture and within our communities as well. So we should be shouting about the great stories that happen here, and we're excited to be part of that. So who are we at Princess Theatre? In the commercial world of theatre, we often talk about there being musical houses or playhouses or gig venues. I prefer to talk about the Princess as being a variety house. We were built in 1961 to host summer seasons of shows, so music, comedy, drama, and we still aim to have a really diverse programme throughout the year for people in Torbay. For our team, and as part of Ambassador Theatre Group, our job is to bring the best in live entertainment into Torbay. Some of you may not know who Ambassador Theatre Group are, or you may have just come across the logo as you look at tickets that you've booked. So I'll tell you a little bit about ATG. ATG is the world's #1 live theatre company. It operates across multiple disciplines, operating venues, running major ticketing platforms, and also producing award-winning shows. So if any of you have been into London recently, seen Cabaret at the Cllr, that's a really good example of the kind of work ATG can produce. Globally, ATG operates 58 of the world's most iconic venues. I'm biased. We are one of those. We are potentially the most iconic venue. I'll give the Menac a little bit of a chance to my class, but no, I've got a good place. As part of ATG, we are one of a network of theatres across the country, and we benefit from having a central programming team who work with some of the leading producers to bring us shows, really high-profile shows into Torbay, including shows like Six, We Will Rock You, Michael McIntyre, Dawn French, Riverdance, and Playing the Faith, and those are all shows that we've had since reopening from COVID. Like all companies, we've had to rebuild after COVID, but since reopening, we have welcomed over 160,000 audience members through our doors. My team will tell you I love a stat. I love understanding who our audience are. I've just got a couple of those for you. Over half of these audience members that have come through are from within a half an hour drive time, so they really are local people enjoying culture on our doorstep. We're really, really proud that people see this as their local theatre. On the other side of that, you know, we are a destination. Nearly 20% of those people are coming from over 90 minutes away, which means that they are choosing to come and see a show in Torbay. They are making a trip to Torbay as a destination, or they're already coming and they're adding in that cultural experience, which we all know is part of the destination management. So, doing well there. As theatre trends have changed, producers focus less on summer seasons, unless, I think, have we got Sharon from Barbican? Unless you're producing in-house, like the amazing Barbican does. Commercial touring theatres focus less on summer seasons now. So our busiest and highest profile events happen in the shoulder seasons. So for us looking forward, we think that's a great opportunity for the Bay to really sell those shoulder seasons. It's cultural times. Come and see a show. Come and see what's on high profile events happening on the Bay. We believe we have one of the most beautifully situated theatres in the country. It's our ambition to be seen as a real destination venue, and audiences consider where to watch a show. However, it's really important to us that we remain accessible to audiences. Next slide, please. With lower incomes, and work to break down some of the barriers that people might face coming to the theatre. There's all sorts of reasons why people feel that they can't walk through theatre doors, whether that's they don't understand the behaviour, or they don't feel that they can afford it, if it's not for them. One of the ways we do this is that on as many shows as possible, we include local heroes and price promise ticket schemes. So Local Heroes offers 25% off tickets exclusively for teachers, social care workers, prison officers, armed forces and blue light professionals. And our price promise scheme, which I'm really proud of, it's a commitment to keeping ticket prices low, so tickets start from £13. Now we are a receiving house. The shows that come to us are not produced by us, which means that we have to get producers buy-in for us to be able to put these schemes on their shows. So we work really closely with as many producers as possible for them to include these schemes as part of their price plan. take-up of that, and we're trying to get that out into different areas so people know that those disciplines are available. As well as keeping theatres accessible for audiences, it's just as important to us that we nurture the next generation of talent, and loads of that comes from Torbay. In 2019, we hosted one of ATG's technical apprentices who worked with us for a year up until COVID, before completing her second year at the Bristol Hippodrome. Jess was one of 6 technical apprentices across the company, learning the skills and knowledge required to work backstage and for a career in technical theatre. We have just recently reopened our technical apprenticeship as a company, so that's actually open for applications right now. This time round it's working slightly differently. We are, ATG is in collaboration with the National Theatre, Royal Opera House, I was going to forget one, National Theatre, Royal Opera House and White Lights, for a technical services company. So the next generation of technical apprentices will get to work with each of those companies and have placement in really iconic organisations. For anyone who is interested in that technical apprenticeship or knows somebody over the age of 18 who might want to work in technical theatre, then please come and speak to me and we'll give you the information about that. I would absolutely love it if one of the next technical apprentices is from Torbay. Locally, we also want to expand our work with schools and colleges. So what you're seeing here is Hilton Hotel College coming in and doing a tour of our venue. They were given the opportunity to have a backstage tour and to meet members of the team. So they met people from our technical teams, our marketing team, box office, me, I was the least interesting. And they got a chance to kind of hear about different careers and how people got into working in theatre. They also got a chance to play around with the lights, use the follow spots, which was the most fun part of the day for them. But what was really lovely, particularly for me, being in the role that I'm in, is that each of those students, the ones that said they wanted to work in theatre when they walked in here wanted to be an actor. Nothing wrong with wanting to be an actor, it's fantastic. However, by the time they left, about a third of them wanted to work in technical theatre or be backstage or doing some other role in theatre, which was really exciting. We were also lucky enough to receive some cultural recovery funding as we reopened, and we worked with more to see Music Collective and We Live Music to work with local schools to deliver some sea shanties. So that was a range of primary and secondary schools, and they worked on the sea shanties over a number of months. And for those of you who saw the Seagull Trail over the summer, here's one wrong. If you were to scan the QR codes on the ones on here, you actually can listen to the sea shanties produced by the schools. So I've got that here, and I'm going to put it over there in case anybody actually wants to do that. It's still live. This is Pirate Steve. And we also wanted to show you the work produced by Melanie Taper. So one of the other projects that we were able to do was commission a local artist to commemorate the closure of the theatre over COVID and reopening. So Melanie created 12 incredible pieces of work for us that were all inspired by different elements of the theatre that you perhaps don't think about. So they're layered images with back of house, behind the scenes, front of house audiences coming in and out, and we think they're amazing. They're staying up until summer next year, but we'd really love to create some sort of legacy project as well and work with future artists in the Bay and see what comes out of that. But this was part of Durban Open Studios. Our sound gallery were fantastic and helped us to work on an open evening event where people did backstage tours and came to see Melanie's amazing work. That's free for anyone to come and see. If you come into our bistro, you're welcome on both floors to come and have a little look at what she's done. And that's about it from me. Lots of exciting things over the next few years, lots of exciting shows, and as we emerge still from COVID, we can make plans into what Princess Theatre will be over the next 3 years. Those should not just be our plans, they're everybody's plans, and so really excited to see what we can do.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Now there is time for 1 or 2 questions from you. Having had that amazing demonstration of what is happening, an explanation of this journey, are there any questions from the audience? Yes, Steve.
Annie, would you like to come and do that presentation again to the business forum? or even better, could we bring the business forum here for breakfast and you can do it in your own house?
Absolutely. We're just about to launch our new brunch menu, so I'm sure we can whip up a bacon sandwich. Yeah, I'm more than happy to. I'd love to.
Okay, all right. We'll book you in.
That is really good news. We say this is the start of a new season in Annie's life to be up front. So thank you for offering the next platform. Any other questions in the room? Yes.
Another suggestion. Is there any chance that you can change the notice board at the front when it moves around? Because you drive past and you miss the notice of what's on. And it's so frustrating.
Yes.
You're driving too fast.
No. But you can't stop and read the rest of it. You know, and sometimes, I've just picked up the brochure, so I mean, you can see what's going on, but then sometimes you see, and it says, starts at 7:30, and what starts at 7:30?
Let's look at the timing. I have absolutely no idea how that system works. But I will speak
Put it on an angle or something, you know, so...
absolutely, I'm sure we can do something about that, yeah.
That's very helpful as well. And a final question from me is, you mentioned shoulder seasons. You know, it's like going to a doctor and they tell you some language you don't actually understand. So there might be somebody in the room asking, what are actually the shoulder seasons in this kind of world?
So for us, well, I'm guessing, I mean, it is from tourism, so apologies if I get this wrong, but for us the shoulder seasons are really from October through to Christmas, and then maybe from February through to April. Those are our busiest seasons. Most tours will remount in September after taking a summer break, so from the start of October onwards we're pretty full with shows, and then again after Christmas most shows will remount in February and run through. So those are our busiest things. We still try and program as much as we possibly can through summer. We believe it's really important that we stay open. We're really interested in ideas of what people would like to see over the summer, where we haven't got large-scale shows touring, what we can do. We've got lots of ideas in-house, but if anyone else has any ideas, we'd love to hear it. So those are kind of our busiest times, and those outside of the season, we'd say.
Thank you, Annie, and thank you for being a part of this story. And again, on your Instagram, wherever, #Princess Theatre, Torbay Story, which is good news. Thank you again. And that is one part of the story, as the story continues from here. Now, we talked about tech by the bay, and of course we have Dr. Phil with us to tell us about that aspect of tech and what role it plays in the story. And you might be surprised, you may hear something about the World Cup, because it's coming home.
Thank you very much, Father. Thank you very much. A little bit about me, Phil. Nice to meet you all. I basically grew up in Torbay. I went to what was called St Saviour's and All Saints School in Barton Road, not too far away, back in the early 70s. And then later, I went to St Cuthbert Maid School, 76 to 81, I was there. And then I went to South Devon College when it was here in Torquay. I loved it so much I went there twice, so there you go. And South Devon College will figure in these slides. They are a very important part of what we do. And what I would just finally say, yes, if you've been watching the football, you will have been using, whether you know it or not, in terms of transmission, products which were designed here in the Bay. World-class products which nobody else could make some years ago. But you'll have to see me afterwards if you want to know more about that. Anyway, please press the button. I got 10 seconds per slide, please. So Torbay group of internationally recognized companies with expertise in all aspects of telecommunication systems. Not just photonics, radio, satellite, security, we do it all here in the Bay. Not just the physical components instead of in terms of like the photonics and microelectronic bits and pieces, but as I said, radio, satellite technologies, there's amazing wealth of knowledge which is here in the Bay. If you're into software, stuff like that as well, that also happens here in the Bay. Please don't underestimate what we do. Now, in terms of the people who were based here previously, we have an amazing history, an amazing heritage. Isaac Marriott Singer, industrialist, we all know, Old Bay. Eisenberg Kingdom Brunel, who did the bridges, amazing character. Oliver Heaviside, if you studied mathematics, you'll know this guy. If you don't know this guy, you'll be using his formulas. He was in Hampton. His grave is still there. Charles Babbage, he was the father of computing. If you use computers, this guy here went to Edward V School. And also, I missed one as well, but amazing, the people. There is an amazing lot of heritage here in the Bay. The 1950s, Standard Telephone and Cables, who came here basically during the Cold War period to get away from the big cities. That's why they came here. And we've grown over the years. Over the years, Gooch and Houseco joined us. Spirent are here. Bay Photonics are here. Thank you for coming today, Glenn. 26, and I totally understand you may not know these companies, but these are, Lamentum, these are amazing companies which are here in the Bay. So I've only got 10 minutes. So in terms of the, this is basically for the people who are into the money side of it, the finance. We have basically 4,000 people in the Devon Somerset Peak region who are involved in photonics. In terms of the industry, £14.5 billion by all those amazing people here in the UK. If you're into GVAs, the average GVA per employee, if you're into that sort of thing, is £85,000 a year. We've been growing year on year. During COVID, the photonics sector and the telecommunications sector grew. You know, we were going to work every day because we knew we needed to speak to our mums and dads. We needed to speak to our loved ones. So we went to work to try and do what we could for the Bay and the whole world. This is an amazing place, the Electronic and Photonic Innovation Centre. This is the hub of innovation. If you go past, basically, the Brixham Road, not too far from the old hotel site, you'll see this. Whenever I feel a bit down and tired, I just go in here and recharge my batteries. The amount of innovation that's going on in this centre is world class. Believe me, world class. You can put me in front of anyone and I will tell them what goes on here is world class. There's about 15 little companies. There may be 2 people, there may be 10 people. They're small little companies, but what they do is amazing. And it's really a real privilege to be here today to talk on their behalf. So why do we live here in Torbay? You know, okay, I'm a techie guy. Call me a geek if you want to. But we absolutely love what we do here in the Bay. We are part of the Torbay story. We are part of, you know, what goes on here. We're part of the community, is what I want to say. And we are very privileged and very proud to be part of that community. And actually, Torbay offers a lot. Competitive costs, fast-growing international cluster. We also work very closely with Torbay Development Agency in terms of the grants that allow people to come here. If you do visit EPIC, and if you like learning languages, just go to EPIC. You can talk Dutch if you want, you can talk French, German, Italian, Russian as well, it's okay. And there's many people of different languages, different orientations. EPIC has been really successful. It is now 85% occupied. Within EPIC, there's £2 million worth of equipment which you can use if you are part of that little group there. You know, or you hire a room. In terms of the costs, it really is not too expensive for Torbay when you think about what goes on there. It is a wonderful place in terms of technical capabilities, the office space, the laboratories, the equipment. We have people from Cllr and Exeter University who come and visit us, and they actually use some of the equipment that we have. So, you know, I can't speak too highly about what goes on. So it is amazing what goes on. And I know this is Torbay, but we get out and about, an amazing amount. Is it okay? Is that little, we've got a bug in the system. so we are really trying to raise our flags. We visit Westminster. People really do want to know what we're doing down here. We visited Westminster and had a showcase at the House of Lords in July. We also work very closely with the Torbay Development Agency and EPIC people too. And we have this kind of hand-holding where we have the companies, we have the Photonic Leadership Group, which is all about what goes on here in the UK, how do we promote what we do. And we tell them what we do, and they listen to us. All parliamentary political group, Photonics Group, we are part of that. We are part of what goes on in Westminster. People want to know. In terms of the companies that are part of the Torbay High Tech Cluster, There are many, many, many companies which are involved, and here are some of the names. But what makes us really powerful is everyone has their own specialism, whether it's radio frequency, whether it's quantum stuff, whether it's photonics, DSP, digital signal processing. You don't have to worry about the terms, that's my problem. But everybody has their own little bit, and we basically make this little chain of companies, and between us, we can do a heck of a lot together. So it is amazing. We had a meeting yesterday, and the amount of positive news that was coming out of the cluster in terms of what people are doing. I remember a colleague said to me, oh, I went on holiday last week, I came back and there were another 4 people in my team. This is amazing. Well done, Glenn, where you are. These are the amazing people and companies, groups that we work with, the TVA group. Excellent people. Advanced Technical Recruitment. This is basically a group that helps us find the right people to suit us. We don't look for people with straight A's. What we want is enthusiasm, imagination, and ability to want to learn. Don't forget straight A's. I don't have any straight A's. And Tech Southwest, local government group, heart of the Southwest, we are very much involved. And as I said, the APPG as well. We work with those companies as well. So we are very much acknowledged, and we enjoy working with all these different agencies. But because we are high tech, we work with the local research and academic partners as well. University of Plymouth, University of Exeter, Southampton College, very important one, University of Southampton. What I will say, wherever you find a high-tech cluster, and I say this to everyone, wherever there's a high-tech cluster, you will find an academic facility just next door. So if you go to Southampton, where they got high-tech cluster, you've got that university, Exeter University, you've got Set Squared, which is all about innovation, Plymouth the same. Southampton College, they are basically our technical partner, our research and academic partner. We work very closely with them. They do some amazing work, and as I said, without them, we would be in a spot of bother. So, moving on, working with Southampton College, they recently opened their training suite, which is very useful to help us as part of the High Tech and Digital Centre. We have people who go here from industry and they learn about photonics, microelectronics, finance, management, HR. We all need looking after. You need people in all these different aspects to work within the high-tech cluster. So that's really amazing that that's been opened. They also do a photonics course, and I work very, very, very closely with the college to develop this photonics course. And we had our pilot year was this year between February and June. And here are the wonderful class. These 5 very smiling faces, please note smiling faces. They did the photonics course and they all passed. This is a proper certified by the academic industry in the UK, level 5, 20 credit course. And you can see my colleagues there when they picked up their certificates because they all passed and it went through external adjudication, blah, blah, blah. I was there and I had to talk and they passed. And they will take these certificates now and wherever they go in the world, we did some better. They've now got a UK certified certificate to say I studied photonics. And as you know, in the world, the UK, the US, they're some of the best academic kind of places to study. We also really enjoy promoting what goes on here in the Torbay High Tech Cluster. We go to the events. This was an amazing event, which was held by Southampton College, a research and innovation conference. So we were there, and we enjoyed promoting what we do. And we have people who are going along. Again, you can see smiley faces, and they were just talking about everything that we make. The products that we make, they're very intricate. You've got the mechanics, the electronics, as I said, thermal dynamics, and these young people there really enjoy their own little bit. They're all specialised. But what we do is work as a team. We have somebody who does one thing, somebody who does another thing, somebody who does something else. But between us, we are an amazing team. And we actually had an award. So I work for Hampton, and we actually had an award for what was the best poster. So you can see one of my colleagues, Nico, at the top there, showing off his poster. A very good poster it was too. And I think him and another person won an award, which is great, because it's like a £50 Amazon voucher, which is fantastic. And other people were there showcasing as well. in terms of the people within the high-tech cluster, if I take the company I work for, Momentum, we have a very nice open office space, as you can see there. We deliberate, we talk, we discuss, we have a can of, it's not beer, I think it's just a fizzy drink there. and we enjoy sharing, we have a heck of a lot of fun. And if there are problems, there's always somebody who knows something about something who can help us. We are very much a team. We've got a new gentleman who started with us a few weeks ago, and I say to him, I still say, look, if you don't understand what you're doing, if in 2 or 3 hours time you're thinking, oh, plot, some trouble here, just let us know. We go and see old Joe down the road, he knows all about it. So we're very much like that, and Anthea down the bottom there, she loves doing what she does. We have a lab as well, which is full of telecommunications equipment. And we are very much a part of the community, as I said. We enjoy impacting, being part of the community. The mentor do a one-for-one, which is basically, if you do something for charity, it might be a walk, might be a swim, it can be whatever you like. And the mentor basically give one-for-one. So you got the local businesses totally understand that, you know, we are part of the community, and they will give one-for-one. If you raise £100, they'll match it for 200. If you raise 200, they'll match it with 400. So we are very positively impacting what goes on in the community. And you can see lots more smiley faces as well. And for those who are socialists,
Just a minute.
1 minute? Okay, this is nothing. It's my last slide. So everybody you saw on that screen who works for Momentum or the other company, we're all shareholders. We all get a little bit of the money at the end of the year. So it is very good. So here we are. We've got Captain United Kingdom, Torbay High-Tech Cluster, the Epic Centre. We are very much part of the community, and we really enjoy being part of the community. And next time you talk to your mum or your dad or a loved one using Skype, Zoom, whatever it is you do, just think about us, because without a doubt, I can look you all in the eyes and say this, you will be using something that was designed literally just 5 miles up the road. You just won't know it because we're so quiet, because we're in the lab. But it will have happened. So enjoy the football.
Thank you. And in the interest of time, we'll take one question, because I know some of you are wondering. I've heard a lot about tech, but actually I don't know what actually is made. It was a bit enigmatic, in a sense that you're wondering, is it my smartphone? Is it Zoom? What was it? Pause the question now so you get the answer. Whatever question you had, the doctor is here. He'll be able to give you the answer. Any questions in the room?
I will answer your question.
Yes.
Just wondering, do you actually connect with the general community, or only the electronic community?
We do, yes. We, once a month, and we had one yesterday, we have a Torbay High-Tech Cluster meeting. So we all basically, we have a representative from all the companies that you saw on the screen. We meet at the Epic Centre, because that's the hub of what goes on in Torbay. And then we discuss good news, bad news, where people need help, and how can we collaborate together. We had a very exciting one yesterday, and we had Seth in the college today as well. And we had one person say they were involved in this, and then somebody else said, well, we just happen to be involved in this little part over here. Maybe we need to get together. So we are always talking to each other, and we do it by this high-tech cluster meeting that we have.
Doctor, thank you very much, and you've been so eloquent, and really grateful that you're playing a big part in the technology world.
I need to answer your question. Some of you probably have BT, fibre to the home, or maybe Virgin. You may have noticed there's a lot of little green boxes at the end of the road, or there may be little grey boxes. Yeah. What goes inside those has been designed in painting. So now you know. Think
that is our story. Once Torbay Story gets some lovely stickers, you could stick it on your box by your room. Waterproof stickers, Torbay Story, designed in Torbay. Excellent. This is really good news. And thank you for the hard work that you do. And we do champion you. Of course, we talked about the story involving families and children living in this place. And the council has been doing a lot of work to try and offer the best to every child, because every child matters to this council and to this community, as does to you. And so Councillor Cordelia has been involved in the middle of that across the way. And most of all, She went through St Cuthbert, Maine.
Yay.
Come and share with us.
Afternoon, everyone. I was so excited I nearly jumped up in advance there. I have got bits of paper to read off because otherwise, give me the chance to talk about children's services and I will have you here all night. So I've got these to keep myself to time, I think. So it might surprise you to hear actually that children's services is one of Torbay's real success stories of the past few years. And you're probably wondering what our Torbay story has got, what our children's services has got to do with Torbay story and with you guys as Torbay Champions. So, well, for me, everything, absolutely everything. And I hope that after listening to what I've got to say to you this afternoon, that you'll begin to share our pride in our children's services and also to see our children's central place in our story, our Torbay story, and in our future. So, right, thank you. I think that's right, is that? Mark is going to do my slides, because otherwise I'll be on the first one all night. So, first I'm going to give you a little bit of background. So in 2010 actually, our children's social care was deemed to be inadequate by Ofsted. And ever since then, we have been on the try, fail, repeat treadmill for over 10 years. In those 9 years, we've had 8 directors of our children's services, and year on year, we've greatly overspent our budget. But worst of all, Ofsted repeatedly found children in Torbay to be unsafe. So now I like a challenge, I definitely like a challenge. And having brought up 4 children of my own in Torbay, I absolutely firmly believe that Torbay could be and should be the best place, the perfect place to grow up and to raise your family. But I think that actually even I might have balked a little bit if I'd have actually known the true extent of the legacy of a decade of dysfunction in our children's services. So you'll see there in 2019 we had the second highest number of cared for children per capita in the country. That was 356 children were in our care, and 46 of those children were in expensive residential places outside of the Bay, outside of our area and their hometown. We were losing social workers faster than we could recruit them, and some of our social care departments were relying on 70% agency staff, so not our permanent workforce. So foster carers were feeling very disillusioned, they were feeling undervalued, and we're becoming increasingly reliant on independent fostering agencies. Worst of all, our children weren't always safe, and families simply weren't getting the help that they needed until things had to escalate to a crisis level for those families. So we no longer had our own director of children's services, we were sharing one with Plymouth, and we also had a government-appointed commissioner to oversee our services. We've been repeatedly failing our children for over a decade, and quite rightly, we were in the last chance saloon when I came into post in 2019. We were just months away from completely losing control of our children's services in Torbay. We were truly in a really, really deep crisis. And yet I know that everybody involved really, really cared and wanted to get this right. So I'll admit there were a few times early on when I found myself questioning my determination and thorough belief that we could and should make things better for our children. But 2 things kept going round in my head, and they still do actually. The first is a proverb: it takes a village to raise a child. Now I believe that the modern day village, the modern day equivalent of this village, is our local communities, our business communities, our partners, and people like you, our Torbay Champions, people who believe in our towns and in our future and in the good that we can do, who want us to prosper and have that bright future. And the second thing is, it brings me nicely actually onto this, our children are 23% of our population, but they are 100% of our future. Our children are our greatest economic and social asset that we have of the future. So why wouldn't we want to get things right for them? So that was where we were in 2019. So I'm going to forward wind now to 2022, and we're now an authority that is rated good by Ofsted. We're contributing to national research and guidance on what makes a good children's services. So how did we get from those dark and difficult days to a place where I'm stood before you today, speaking at national events about the successful turnaround of our children's services. So, well, believe it or not, it was actually in part our dire situation that provided us with the foundation of our future success. So that sounds a bit strange, but we were in such a bad place that we were able to attract the attention and interest of a really highly qualified Director of Safeguarding, Nancy Meehan, on an interim agency basis. Now, Nancy came with vast experience of turning around other authorities that had had big systemic problems, Rotherham, Tower Hamlets, Jersey, just to name a few. So when our joint arrangement with Cllr came to an end in January 2020, we were absolutely delighted when Nancy put herself forward for the vacant position of Director of Children's Services, when we were in a position to have our own director again. Torbay, she said, had got under her skin, and I think all of us in here can relate to that. And that was really the start of our transformation in Torbay. Shortly after this, Anne-Marie Bond became our Chief Executive at Torbay Council. And what many of you might not know is that Anne-Marie actually began her career in local authority as a children's services solicitor. So she was the absolute perfect fit to drive our improvement journey forward. I can't stress that the importance of these two people to the success in going forward. So with these key players in place and political will and support in place, we set about actually a thorough redesign of the service, a complete redesign. I won't talk at length about the systemic team level and structural changes that we made. I think it's suffice to say that we took a really thorough and systematic root and branch analysis of every area of our children's services. We didn't avoid the difficult or uncomfortable topics or areas. If we were going to save our children's services, not just for the reputation of the council, but actually to make that difference to our families and to our children into the future, if we wanted to do that, we had to be brutally honest with ourselves, where we were, what our issues were. So now you've just seen there what our children benefited from as a result of that redesign, and I could spend hours talking about each and every aspect of that redesign. And as I say, there was no stone was left unturned. So given our very low starting base, the first thing we had to do was to make sure that our children were safe and protected. But you saw from this slide here that how our children actually benefited and are still benefiting from this redesign. We took the decision to adopt a restorative model of practice, and we set about formally training all our social care staff, many of our partners and our senior leaders in restorative practice. And that meant that we began to work with our children and families instead of doing to them. And that in turn had an immediate impact on our early help and the provision of our early help, which meant that doing with our families started to get the help that they needed before things in their lives had got to a crisis point and they needed a statutory intervention. So we also established a learning academy to support this process and to support our social care staff with a continuous professional development. And also, as part of our succession planning is delivered as well, and our Grow Your Own Social Work programme is delivered through our Learning Academy. And actually, I'm very proud of our Learning Academy. It wasn't just mentioned and commended by Ofsted, but was actually last week in the national finalist in the Children and Young People Now Awards for workforce development. So having that impact on our workforce. We consulted with our foster carers to improve our offer to them. We concluded enhanced payments, enhanced training and support, and that was very much a collaborative piece of work in providing what our foster carers needed. And that brings me back again to that village that raises the child, because our foster carers are central to our village. Many of our local attractions, businesses have become part of our village by supporting our foster carers with experience, and our young people with experiences, free tickets and discount offers. Local companies such as Barton Steam Railway, Painter Zoo, Splashdown make offers to our families, as do Torquay United, who support us really well with meeting space for our foster carers to get together once a month, and also match tickets, free match tickets for our families, and free advertising space for our recruitment campaigns. Indeed, actually, Princess Theatre as well also gives us pantomime tickets for our cared for community at Christmas. So it really is, that's about being that village all around. So our vacancy rate and percentage of agency workers is the lowest it's ever been. In March we have the lowest vacancy rate in the country, actually. And senior posts are now filled by permanent staff. Many posts are now being filled by word of mouth on colleague recommendation of Torbay as an employer of choice. But more than that, and most importantly of all, our children are safe. Our children are now safe. So when Ofsted came in March, for the first time ever, they found no children in Torbay to be unsafe. And we are now rated as good. So that's a fantastic achievement for Torbay. So as you saw on the last slide, we've seen a safe reduction of the number of children in our care. Currently it stands at 296 children. We have 11 unaccompanied asylum seeker children and 21 going through age assessment currently. As you saw, on that last slide, all those figures in other ways they've benefited, but also 75% reduction in our children in residential care out of the area. That means we currently have 14 children, whereas previously we had 46. All those children now are living with families and have a chance to grow up and live in a loving family. So, well, what's next? Well, after a decade of inadequacy and essentially getting to good 2 years during a global pandemic, I feel like the world is actually our oyster, but I'm really happy and content with Torbay being my oyster. So we're not complacent. We know we still have a lot of work to do, but we have the ambition to become an outstanding rated authority, and Ofsted have indicated to us that that is within our grasp at long last. So we also have the ambition to become a child-friendly town recognised by UNICEF, and Councillor Darling, myself and Anne-Marie met with UNICEF this morning to discuss this ambition and to take it forward. And a child-friendly town. A child-friendly town is a town where children and young people are recognised as our greatest economic and social asset of the future, where their rights and voices are upheld, celebrated and supported by us all, and where we put them at the heart of our decisions and our plans for the future. It's a town where being born into poverty doesn't mean that you have to grow up with poverty of experience or aspiration. So, and as I said before, our children and young people are 23% of our community, but 100% of our future. And why wouldn't we want to be that village that together supports and invests in our children and invests in a happy, prosperous, successful future for us all? I think that would be, that is what we all want. That's what we're all here for. And our children are such a central part of that. So, services for children in Torquay have significantly improved. The improvement is, I'm getting ahead of myself there as well. I get so excited, I've just been turning these pages over without even actually finishing reading them. That's why I have bits of paper to try and keep me under. I get so excited about this. But I hope you share that excitement and you can see that, our children, they are our future. They are everything that we have. They are our best asset. So, that's our aspirations, become a child-friendly town. And if Father Nathan will indulge me to do just a couple of minutes over, 1 moment over, I'll look at the opening statement of and a quote from Ofsted Inspection Report, because I believe that it's something that the whole of Torbay should rightly feel very, very proud of, because our progress, our improvement isn't just down to one person, it's everybody, it's all of us working together and all our partners. And Ofsted said their opening paragraph, services for children in Torbay have significantly improved. This improvement is demonstrable and making a tangible difference for Torbay's children. Strong political and corporate commitment to the improvement agenda has enabled the local authority to change the trajectory of social work practice so that services in Torbay are now good. This is an impressive achievement. The Director of Children's Services, political leader and the local authority's chief executive have worked assiduously over the past 2 years transforming the quality of health, protection and care for their vulnerable children. A clear and ambitious improvement plan and associated sufficiency strategy underpinned by a root and branch analysis have addressed effectively the long-standing history of inadequate practice in Torbay. That is an accolade for everybody, for all of us, and I think I'll leave it there, shall I?
That's enough. you again for listening to Councillor Cordelia. A question from the audience. Anyone with a question that you'd like to pose, or something that has encouraged you from what she has shared?
Hi there, Cordelia. Every year there's a Children's Services Practice Week, which is a really powerful experience for senior leaders within the authority and councillors as well, whereby we can go along and observe some of the work that's carried out. And it happened a couple of weeks ago. It was a really powerful day, certainly for me, witnessing a young family having family time with their child. I just wonder whether or not there might be an opportunity in the future for some of our Torbay Champions perhaps to also experience that during that week with the proper controls and things in place to see about the work that goes on and how useful and powerful it is.
I actually think that's a fantastic suggestion, and anybody, this is my email address, anybody who wants to get in contact about that, please do. It's a real powerful way of seeing what our children's services do. Most people think, you know, a lot of public have this idea of children's services, so these people who come, like the child catcher, come and nab your children, take them away from you. You know, it's not, that's just such a small part. It's a very, very important part of what we do, keeping children safe. But actually, it's such a small part of what we do in children's services. So anybody who'd be interested in taking part in Practice Week, I think that's a fantastic idea for our champions to have that hands-on and that experience of what it's all about, because it is so much more, and there are so many people actually involved in keeping our children safe and putting them on the right road for the future and supporting them to have aspirations. 1 in 4 of our children in Torbay live in poverty, and that's why I say that we don't want to be that town where you're born in poverty, but you stay in poverty. We want to be the town, and we're small enough and we're intimate enough. We know each other, you know, they say Torbay can't get away with everything. Everybody knows somebody who knows somebody, and that's where you are so important, because just because, like I said that in my speech, just because you're born into poverty doesn't mean you have to experience poverty of opportunity. And people like Dr. Phil here, who talking about that, and Annie about the apprenticeships for our young people. All this is about giving our children that example, and there's for too long, I think, been that attitude in Torbay that, oh well, the only way you do any well in Torbay is if you move out. You know, that's not. There's so much there, and you people have to spread that word so we keep our children, and maybe one day my 3 will move back to the Bay. So I chose to come back here and bring my children up here. I lived abroad. I lived in Germany before that. I travelled extensively. My husband's been all around the world, and yet we chose to stay here and bring our children up, because I really do believe it is the best place. And both of us, having been all over the world, this is where we chose to be.
Fantastic. Thank you for choosing me there. Of course, those who are champions already, thank you for signing up to this story of making every life matter in this community, of making our children thrive and find this place a home in which they grow to become the leaders or the high-tech experts in the world, or those who lead this theatre and other spaces, or those who kind of are counted as leaders in this moment. They are 100% part of the future, and I believe leaders of today. They are part of our community today. Not for the future, but for now. So thank you for the great work there. If you would like to be a champion and you're wondering, you're still on the border, kind of working out, shall I get into the sea of being a champion or not? It's a good point to get in now. And if you have any questions in the interest of time, of course we have Mark and Joe here who will take more questions on that, because I'm conscious of your time and of course your parking ticket wherever you park. That's really, really important. And also we have the mayor in the house. If you're in the room saying, actually, how do we celebrate the story of everything we've had tonight? She's put on a carol concert for every one of you in this room. Next week on Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. at the Palace Theatre on the other side. Join the mayor and celebrate the champions, the story, and everything that is happening. Because that is what we do, celebrate our story and stand shoulder to shoulder as we move from good to outstanding, and as we celebrate everything that is happening in this place. Whatever you do, hashtag Torbay Story. If in doubt as to how to do that, email Mark And if you're struggling with technology, the doctor is in the house. But if you'd like to just come for a pantomime and learn more about the Torbay story, this theatre is open. And from us to you, have a splendid evening. Sign up as a champion and don't leave with any question unanswered. And again, share the good news of the Torbay story. Thank you for coming.